From Libya to Austria, the migrant crisis continues to take a terrible toll. On the 10th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, U.S. President Barack Obama salutes the Big Easy. And the Force awakens on Instagram. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. Now, the long trek to a better life and away from poverty, persecution and violence is becoming more dangerous by the day for the thousands of migrants seeking to reach Europe's more prosperous nations. The first 10 bodies of 71 migrants found inside an abandoned truck on an Austrian highway have arrived in Vienna Friday for further examination. They were brought to the Vienna Medical University's Department for Forensic Science. The bodies were found by an Austrian motorway patrol near the Hungarian border on Thursday, with fluid from the decomposing bodies seeping from its back door. Of the 71 dead, 59 were men, 8 were women, and 4 were children, including a girl estimated at 1 to 2 years old and 3 boys about 8 to 10 years old. The truck had been driven to Austria from Hungary and is believed to have been parked on the highway for at least 24 hours before it was discovered. Austrian police say one Syrian travel document has been found among the victims, but it was too early to say from which countries the entire group had come from. Now, meanwhile, the authorities also say 3 Bulgarians and an Afghan national were arrested Friday in Hungary in connection with the tragedy. Thursday's gruesome roadside discovery occurred as Balkan leaders met in Vienna to discuss ways to stem Europe's worst migrant crisis since World War II.
In the course of the first examination, we recovered a Syrian travel document, so we believe the victims could be a group of Syrian refugees. We are able to rule out that the victims were refugees from Africa.
Many refugees lost their lives as they fled violence, and they died because of human smugglers.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel is among leaders attending the Vienna talks aimed at finding ways to stem the flood of migrants continuing to risk their lives to reach Europe.
We know that we are facing challenges resulting from the Syrian wars, which have forced 2 million refugees to flee to Turkey and live in refugee camps there, as millions of others escape to Jordan and Lebanon. We deem that, under a fair principle, the European Union should shoulder its responsibility, or people will not agree with what we do.
Ms. Merkel called the horrible discovery a warning to Europe to come to grips with the migrant crisis. She said, this is a warning to work to resolve this problem and show solidarity. Austria's Foreign Minister Sebastian Kurz is proposing that safe havens be set up in the region where those seeking asylum could be processed and, if they qualify, be given safe passage to Europe. We're now shifting from land to sea. Libya has recovered 82 bodies that were washed ashore Friday after a boat packed with migrants sank near the western town of Zawara, according to a Red Crescent official. The official also says that some 100 people are still missing, but that about 198 migrants had been rescued. The boat sank on Thursday after leaving Zawara, a major launch pad for smugglers shipping migrants from sub-Saharan Africa or Syria to Italy. While turning to East Africa, just one day after South Sudan's President Salva Kiir signed a peace deal to end a brutal 20-month conflict with opposition forces, many displaced civilians living at the United Nations camp in Juba remain hopeful that the new development will bring peace so they can return to their homes.
We are very happy as people who stay at UNMISS that the peace was signed yesterday. We have had a lot of suffering in here, so we want the peace to be real.
They brought peace, and if they say, let us get out of this place, we will get out. But if the peace is still in doubt, we will stay. But we have lost all of our children, and we don't have youth in our midst. People are just dying randomly, children getting lost every day.
Many of South Sudan's 11 million people have been driven to the brink of starvation, and 2 million people have fled their homes, often to neighboring states. About 10% of internally displaced civilians remain in 9 UN mission sites known as protection of civilian camps. Well, the United States is considering expelling Burundi from zero-tariff trade deals under the African Growth and Opportunity Act following elections last month. The U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs Linda Thomas-Greenfield announced in Gabon on Thursday during the Africa-U.S. Trade Summit that AGOA holds a provision which allows the status of nations to be reviewed if they stray from acceptable international norms.
Yes, we are currently reviewing Burundi's eligibility for trade preferences under AGOA. As you know, the AGOA legislation does allow for the U.S. to partially restrict benefits to AGOA-eligible countries related to their performance across a number of criteria related to rule of law and human rights. We encourage all of the countries to comply with the AGOA eligibility requirements. Many of them do, but in the past we have suspended countries. Madagascar was suspended after a coup d'etat. And once the government was democratically elected, we brought them back in. So on Burundi, the review process is taking place, and a decision will be made after that review.
Well, the United States had called the July 21st Burundi presidential vote deeply flawed, while regional observers say the poll fell short of being free and fair. Well, back here in the United States, President Barack Obama is calling New Orleans an example of what Americans can achieve when they work together. In a speech Thursday on the 10th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, which devastated the southern city, he praised efforts to rebuild New Orleans, but he says more can be done to help its disadvantaged communities. VOA's Latisa Hoke has more.
President Obama, accompanied by New Orleans Mayor Mitch Landrieu, toured several neighborhoods that were devastated by Hurricane Katrina 10 years ago. In the historically black neighborhood of Treme, he stopped to chat with residents, hug babies, shake hands, and pose for photos. In his speech after the tour, Mr. Obama praised New Orleans for rebuilding the city not as it was, but as it should have been, to give a better life to its disadvantaged communities.
Because of you, the people of New Orleans working together, this city is moving in the right direction. And I have never been more confident that together we will get to where we need to go.
In August of 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit the Gulf states, especially Louisiana, Florida, Mississippi, and parts of Texas, killing more than 1,800 people and destroying thousands of homes and businesses. New Orleans was devastated after the storm surged inland and the levee system collapsed.
It was one of the darkest times. It was a man-made disaster of epic proportions that we pray is never felled upon any other American citizens.
The New Orleans mayor pointed out that the new community center that hosted Mr. Obama's address was 5 meters underwater after Katrina.
If Katrina was initially an example of what happens when government fails, the recovery has been an example of what's possible when government works together.
Mr. Obama said that through a joint effort of federal and local governments and civic groups, New Orleans low-income communities now have better housing, schools, and community services. Data show that local student achievement and college enrollment are higher than before the storm, and many local businesses, such as this popular restaurant, are open again. He said New Orleans is an inspiration for the rest of the country of what can be achieved through joint effort. But the president warned there are still communities in New Orleans and elsewhere that need help and resources to recover. Zlatica Hoke, VOA News, Washington.
Well, New Orleans has long been an international tourist attraction, but tourism was disrupted for many months after Hurricane Katrina struck. It has rebounded along with the city's infrastructure, and today, as VOA's Greg Fleckers reports, it is a major part of a thriving economy.
On a daily basis, year-round, tourists roam the centuries-old streets of the famed French Quarter, where impromptu performances are common. New Orleans offers sights, sounds, and tastes that can be had nowhere else. For several months after Hurricane Katrina, many hotels and restaurants were closed and tourism revenues were dismal. But city officials say the tourism sector is now flourishing.
We had 9.3 million visitors last year. You know, we can continue to increase that market. New Orleans hosted the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and we're a place where there's a big event every weekend in the city.
The man keeping close track of the city's tourism industry is Mark Romig.
Tourism is one of the mainstays of our economy. Roughly 80,000 individuals work in the tourism industry. Visitor spending last year alone was $6.8 billion.
While 90% of tourists coming to New Orleans are from the United States, Romig notes that the impact of international visitors is significant.
We find that the international visitor will usually stay longer than the domestic visitor, and so they will stay longer and perhaps spend more.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, some visitors worried that New Orleans would not fully recover. But Romig says those familiar with the city's history knew of its resilience.
Through storms, through malaria, through oil spills, the city just comes back, the people fight back because it's something we love so much. And I think when a visitor comes here, they sense that and they want to be part of that.
Romig is also in charge of planning for an event that will focus on New Orleans' unique history, the 2017 celebration of the city's 300th anniversary. Greg Flakus, VOA News, New Orleans.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. And join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. Check out our headlines 24/7 at voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince Makori. Coming up in sports, Sonny Young's exclusive interview with NBA star Luol Deng. Stay with us.
This is BizBeat.
This is the largest fuel cell power plant in the world, located in South Korea. This 5-acre plant, built in 14 months, provides enough energy to power 135,000 homes in Hwaseong City. Professor Kim Kyung-nam is with the Green School of Korea University. He says this is a great solution to solve two challenges, energy and environmental protection. These 21 fuel cells put out 2.8 million megawatts of electricity each, and coming out of the stacks or chimneys is not smoke, but steam. Vincent Gim is with POSCO Energy.
I think maybe Korea is the only country who is intensively support fuel cell technology.
In 20 years, South Korea plans to provide 11% of its electricity through renewable energy sources, while creating new economic opportunities in the future. For VOA's BizBeat, I'm Philip Alexio.
Now, people from Southern African nations are having a reunion in the Washington, D.C. area this weekend. It will include family picnic, games, a fashion show, and a soccer tournament. To tell us more about it, I'm joined by Sitinga Kachipande, one of the organizers of the event, right?
Yes, thank you.
So you're most welcome to Africa 54. So first, tell us a little bit about how this came about. It's not all the time you hear of a whole region of a continent holding a common event.
Okay. Well, in 2013, a group of some of the community leaders from Southern Africa, we got together and decided that it was time to make more formal relations between our communities rather than meeting informally. And so we held our first Southern African reunion weekend in 2013, and then it was successful, and we decided that this was something that we wanted to do more often, and then also something that we want to become more formal. So we started registering as a nonprofit organization.
Mm-hmm. Now tell us a bit about how you do this. There are quite a number of events. How do you coordinate this and make sure they come together?
Okay. So we have a board of directors. As I said, we are now a registered nonprofit organization. So we do have an organization with a director, and the directors, we come together and we plan the event throughout the year, and then also get volunteers. We rely on the support of our community as well. and then we plan the events that are popular to a community, events that are focused on what activities we do in Southern Africa and specifically.
Yes. How are you able to maintain that South Africanness or Southern Africanness? So when you're in the United States, there's a bunch of like younger people who are, in a way, kind of become Americanized. How do you do that?
Yeah, so part of what we do is we get the younger people involved in the planning of the organization. So we have people who are college level who are volunteering tonight at our fashion show, for example, and participating in our soccer games. And then we also have people who are in a more older generation who we all have the same vision, and that's to bring about the awareness of Southern African heritage.
Yeah, now we're watching this video. It's a fashion show. This is a past event. I noticed something a bit interesting about how you do a fashion show. Okay, there we go. Look at that guy. What is that? Tell us about it.
So we want to have a fashion show that's a mixture of what you'd normally expect to see in fashion shows internationally, but we also want to bring the Southern African flavor, which is unique and different from what you'd see in other African areas and different from what you see in the United States as well. So we have Southern African dancing, dancers from Zambia, from different places, and each year we switch up the acts as well to have a broader representation.
Okay, now sometimes people say, well, some things sound great, but they could be too ambitious. To what extent is there harmony, you know, among all these people? These are several nations, yes. And within African nations, we have like sub-nations even within that. Now tell me, how do you do this?
Well, one of the things that we did with our board is we brought representation from different countries. So our board itself is diverse. We have people from South Africa. I myself am from Malawi. We have people from Botswana. And so we just try and talk things out, see where our common differences are, and then also keep in line with the mission of our organization, which is to promote Southern African heritage and culture and to unite the Southern African community. So we try to stay focused.
How do you avoid the politics of the region that sometimes actually does polarize people across the borders?
Well, right now, our platform is not political, so we are an apolitical organization because we do realize that there are those tensions, and our main focus right now is to unite people and not to divide them.
Okay, so briefly just run us through what's going to happen, when it begins, when it ends.
Okay, so this weekend we're having the Southern African Reunion Weekend. Our kickoff event is the fashion show, which takes place in downtown Silver Spring, and that's from 6 to 8 p.m. Cocktail hour, and then the fashion show starts at 8. And then the next day we have, on Saturday, a soccer tournament and netball for the ladies as well. And people will be braaiing, which is barbecuing, and there'll be it's a family event. So we're hoping to see a large turnout like we did have in previous years.
So you have kids coming in.
Yes, and we have children's games as well.
Yeah, children's games, yeah. I think I'll come and play soccer, can I?
Yes, you can. You're welcome to come and play.
I'm not from Southern Africa. Am I welcome?
Oh, no, we're inclusive.
All right.
Yes.
Well, it's great. I just wish you all the best, and, you know, hopefully you'll come and tell us about how it went down so that, you know, you can share with us all the joys.
Yes, I hope to do that.
Yeah?
Yes.
Thanks a lot,
all right, thank you.
Miss Kachipande. Ms. Sitinga Kachipande is one of the organizers of the Southern African Reunion 2015. Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. Another treat for Star Wars fans, this time on Instagram. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In Gabon, the U.S. says it's considering expelling Burundi from the zero-tariff trade deals under the African Growth and Opportunity Act following the July elections. In Guinea, President Alpha Condé hopes that proposed presidential election will be a model and calls on voters to unite as Guineans. In Senegal, human rights activists say the court ruling to jail 7 gay men in the capital Dakar last week could pose setbacks for the fight against HIV and AIDS. Finally, in Sierra Leone, the Ebola survivor Victoria Yelia, who lost 21 relatives to the infectious disease, gives birth to a baby boy. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. Excitement continues to build on social media for the new Star Wars film. Instagram used the force to highlight a new feature for users. The social media site used a first look at new footage from Star Wars, The Force Awakens. The show that users can now post portrait or landscape images, not just squares. Star Wars, The Force Awakens, directed by J.J. Abrams, is set for release in December. Well, next up, Banksy knows how to stay in the news. The mysterious street artist has released a trailer advertising his new theme park, Disneyland. The clip was posted on his website shortly after the Disneyland ticket page went live. Last Friday, thousands of fans flocked to the attraction in southwestern England. Disneyland is a sharp parody of a theme park, complete with a derelict castle, a dead Cinderella, and a Grim Reaper in a bumper car. Banksy said it was a festival of art, amusement, and entry-level anarchism. Disneyland sparked a lively debate on social media, with critics saying the installation is juvenile, and fans praising Banksy's latest provocation as brilliant. And in other social media news, retailers selling Caitlyn Jenner's costumes for Halloween sparked a social media firestorm from critics who say the get-up insults transgender people and promotes stereotypes. Jenner, a former Olympic gold medalist and reality TV star known as Bruce, came out as transgender this year and introduced herself in a Vanity Fair cover story that earned international attention. Spirit Halloween's costume includes a brunette wig, shiny white, padded bustier, and shorts. A Change.org petition criticized the costume for making light of a community that faces serious challenges. And that is what is trending today. Well, it's time for our Friday Sports Report, and we turn to Sunny Young with the sunny side of sports. Sunny, I understand you spoke with a rather tall guy yesterday.
Rather tall guy indeed, Vincent. Had a few inches on me. That's right. Sporty greetings once again to our Africa 54 viewers. South Sudan-born basketball star Luol Deng of the Miami Heat made a special visit to our Voice of America headquarters. I had a chance to talk with Deng, and I asked him, what brings you to Washington?
I'm actually here for a peace event that we're putting together, South Sudan Unite. There's a lot of things going on from my homeland, South Sudan, and just trying to bring everyone together for a better future.
You were recently in South Africa for the NBA's first ever game on the continent in Johannesburg. Talk about the atmosphere there. What was that like?
No, it was amazing. We had a great turnout. We had people from all over Africa fly in. The game meant so much to all those people who try to do so much for the game, try to get the youth involved. The game was also huge for the whole continent. The game was broadcast everywhere. Everywhere that I went after South Africa, everyone has seen the game. It was just a proud moment for everybody. And I can't thank the NBA enough for really putting everything together and making it happen. It's been a dream of mine and a dream of so many African players to play in the continent, so that was amazing.
One African player now retired, but next month, real big honor, Dikembe Mutombo. He will officially enter the Basketball Hall of Fame. Yes. Your thoughts on the Congolese giant?
You know, every time anyone says the name Mutombo, the first thing you do is smile. It's really amazing because he's been a great example for the continent, a great human being. He just been teaching all of us a lot of things, all the young basketball players, and I haven't even spoke about, you know, what he's done on the court, everything that really he stands for. He's done a great job of just showing everyone in the whole wide world who he really is without the basketball. And just like you said, he's that good to be, you know, a Hall of Famer, and that's something that, you know, going to be remembered for a long time.
Do you view him as maybe a role model in terms of your own humanitarian work?
No, of course, of course. I mean, I can't sit here and say I haven't, you know, seen what he's done or haven't heard about it. And I think all those things affect you. All those positive things makes you, one day want to just do similar things that he's done. And he's just been so great and so active in putting the continent out there and letting everyone know what's going on, and at the same time spending time and putting people together in order to do something great to help others. So he's definitely a role model.
You entered the NBA when you were a teenager, and now you're getting ready for, I think, your 13th season. Yep. You're one of the league's most experienced players. Have you accomplished all your goals, or you think you still have a few left to check off?
Well, I started early, I just turned 30, so I think I still have a lot of years ahead of me. So there's a lot that I want to accomplish before I finish. I think the main things that I focused on is how good can I be. I think every year I push myself to try to see how much better I could get. I think at the end, I just have to be, look at myself and say I gave it everything I can, and that's all you can do.
What do you think of Miami's chances this coming season?
I'm really excited. I think that, as a player, you always want to be honest with yourself and with your teammates, and, you always look at the team and see what kind of chances that you have. And as a competitor, you always, every year, think you have a chance. But I really mean it this time when I say that we really have a great team, a great starting five, and a great bench. I think that, you go into the season with a lot of confidence. So it's going to be an exciting year.
South Sudan-born basketball star Luol Deng speaking with me at our VOA studios here in Washington. I'm Sonny Young, and that's the sunny side of sports, sending the ball back to Vincent Makori.
Whoops. Yep. Well, I'm sure yesterday if you'd sent it to the young fellow there, it would have been a little higher there. But I thought he's such a grounded fellow, really cool guy. Huh?
Yeah, I am so impressed with Deng. I think he's done so much, not just in the NBA, but also in Africa. Great humanitarian, kind of following in the footsteps of the Mutombo, the big Mutombo. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. A lot of humility I hear in Luol Deng.
So much humility. I met him briefly, but you don't feel that aura of celebrity or just making you feel like he's up there and you're over here. He's such a nice
In fact,
fellow.
One of the things he said outside the studio was, in Africa, we learn to respect our elders.
Yes.
And you really see that in him and the way he carries himself.
Like, it doesn't really matter how much money that you earn.
He does make quite a bit, I must say.
I know. Well, thanks a lot, Sonny. And be sure to watch the sunny side of sports every Monday and Friday right here on Africa 54. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com for more news. Tune into VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight, at 1800 UTC, and in the mornings today, Break Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks a lot for watching, and good night from Washington. But we'll leave you with some very beautiful song from Neil, Vibrations of Malawi. Enjoy.
When she's in a mood, there's nothing I can do but wait. So I wait, and it seems like there's never pleasure without it.
Welcome to the Voice of America's Newswords.
At the presidential palace in Dakar, Senegal, U.S. President Barack Obama was welcomed by Senegalese President Macky Sall. Listen for the word that means two sides.
Bilateral talks covered a range of issues, from U.S. support for Senegal's democracy and infrastructure to joint security.
The word bilateral means having two sides. So bilateral talks are when the leaders of two countries discuss issues of joint concern.
Bilateral treaties are between two nations, and bilateral agreements can cover trade or other matters.
Now, when you hear the word bilateral, your English will be good enough to know what this news word means.